It reportedly began as a quiet request made far away from public cameras, hidden beneath the polished traditions and immaculate etiquette of Wimbledon championships, but according to whispers now spreading rapidly through royal circles, the moment Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly refused Meghan Markle's private request for access to the royal box, something much larger than a seating dispute suddenly exploded behind palace walls. Because insiders claim this was never truly about tennis, hospitality, or even public optics alone. According to royal commentators increasingly analyzing the fallout, this alleged confrontation may have revealed the clearest sign yet that Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are preparing to draw far firmer institutional boundaries around the future monarchy than anything previously seen during King Charles III's reign. At first, almost nobody outside royal coordination circles reportedly understood how sensitive the situation would become. According to palace-connected whispers, the alleged request connected to Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, initially arrived through indirect communication channels tied to Wimbledon planning discussions rather than through any dramatic public royal intervention. Staff members allegedly assumed the issue involved ordinary event logistics because Wimbledon has long operated through a highly controlled ceremonial system where seating arrangements, royal appearances, and guest access are managed with extraordinary precision. But insiders claim the atmosphere shifted almost immediately once officials allegedly realized the request involved highly sensitive royal box accommodations tied specifically to Meghan Markle herself. And that is where the situation reportedly became deeply uncomfortable behind the scenes. Because Wimbledon is not viewed inside palace culture as merely another celebrity event attended by famous people in designer clothing. According to royal historians and longtime royal correspondents, Wimbledon Championships occupies a uniquely symbolic role inside the British establishment itself. The tournament represents continuity, discipline, hierarchy, and public ritual, precisely the kind of ceremonial structure the monarchy fiercely protects during periods of instability. That symbolism reportedly became even more important following Catherine, Princess of Wales's gradual public return after months of intense scrutiny surrounding her health and reduced royal appearances. Royal insiders claim palace officials already viewed this year's Wimbledon as emotionally significant because Catherine's role as patron of the All England Club carried enormous symbolic weight at a moment when the monarchy itself was attempting to project steadiness and continuity to the public once again. Then suddenly, according to circulating reports, Meghan Markle's alleged request entered the equation and transformed a carefully controlled ceremonial environment into a potential media minefield. Can you imagine the pressure surrounding that situation behind closed doors? Because according to palace-connected commentators, officials allegedly realized immediately that no outcome would remain neutral. Granting unusual accommodations connected to Meghan Markle risked accusations that royal institutions were once again bending tradition around Sussex-related sensitivities and celebrity-level optics. Refusing the request, however, carried its own dangers because critics could easily frame the decision as another example of Meghan Markle being emotionally excluded from royal spaces she once occupied publicly as a senior working royal. According to insiders familiar with the atmosphere, Wimbledon organizers allegedly became increasingly nervous that the tournament itself risked being dragged directly into the emotional battlefield that has divided Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Prince William, and Catherine, Princess of Wales for years. And once that fear reportedly entered internal discussions, the situation escalated rapidly. Because according to royal insiders, the issue was no longer simply whether Meghan Markle would attend Wimbledon. The real concern allegedly became what Meghan Markle's presence inside the royal enclosure would symbolize publicly during an already fragile moment for the monarchy. Reports suggest some palace figures worried that allowing unusual adjustments surrounding royal box protocol could unintentionally signal weakening institutional control precisely when Prince William, the future king, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, were increasingly attempting to reinforce stability, order, and ceremonial discipline around the future image of the crown. Then came the moment insiders now describe as the turning point. According to palace-connected whispers spreading afterward, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly responded quickly, calmly, and without visible hesitation. Reports suggest there was no dramatic confrontation, no emotional argument, and no theatrical royal spectacle unfolding behind palace gates. Instead, insiders claim Catherine's alleged refusal arrived through quiet institutional channels with a kind of cold precision that only intensified shock surrounding the decision itself. Royal commentators familiar with palace operations increasingly describe Catherine's approach during recent years as disciplined, structured, and deeply protective of ceremonial continuity. And according to several observers, the alleged Wimbledon decision reflected exactly that mentality. For Catherine, Princess of Wales, Insiders claim Wimbledon protocol was reportedly viewed as non-negotiable. That detail matters enormously because royal analysts increasingly believe the monarchy under Prince William and Catherine may operate very differently from the softer, more emotionally flexible atmosphere often associated with King Charles III. According to palace insiders, Prince William has allegedly grown increasingly concerned about preserving institutional boundaries following years of Sussex interviews, memoir revelations, public grievances, and global media battles that repeatedly destabilized the royal family's public image. Sources connected to palace discussions claim Prince William and Catherine increasingly view ceremonial royal spaces not as personal family environments, but as protected institutional territory tied directly to the monarchy's long-term authority. And if that interpretation is accurate, then the alleged Wimbledon refusal becomes far more significant than many viewers initially realized. Because what royal audiences may actually be witnessing is the beginning of a completely different monarchy philosophy emerging beneath the surface, one centered less around emotional accommodation and far more around structure, discipline, and controlled institutional power. That possibility is precisely why this alleged confrontation has triggered such explosive fascination online. The controversy no longer feels like celebrity gossip. The controversy now feels symbolic of a larger royal transformation quietly unfolding behind closed palace walls. And according to insiders watching the fallout carefully, the real tension surrounding Meghan Markle's alleged Wimbledon request may not have involved Catherine's refusal itself, but rather what palace officials allegedly feared could happen if the royal box suddenly became associated with media spectacle, personal branding, and another emotionally charged Sussex narrative under global scrutiny. Because in the next section, the controversy surrounding the royal box itself becomes even more revealing once insiders begin explaining why Wimbledon's ceremonial traditions are treated almost like sacred institutional territory inside the House of Windsor. And before we continue, if you enjoy these deep royal breakdowns exposing the hidden power dynamics operating underneath palace headlines, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the next section reveals why many royal insiders believe Catherine, Princess of Wales, viewed this alleged Wimbledon dispute as something far bigger than a private family disagreement. What reportedly terrified palace insiders most about Meghan Markle's alleged Wimbledon request was not simply the possibility of awkward headlines or temporary public controversy, but the growing fear that one of the monarchy's most carefully protected ceremonial spaces could suddenly become transformed into another global Sussex media battlefield. Because according to royal commentators familiar with Wimbledon culture, the royal box has never functioned as an ordinary VIP section reserved merely for wealthy guests, celebrities, or famous public figures. Inside palace tradition, the royal enclosure represents something far more symbolic, almost a public extension of the monarchy's institutional authority itself. And according to insiders, Catherine, Princess of Wales, understands that symbolism better than almost anyone currently inside the royal family. That detail is critical to understanding why the alleged refusal reportedly became so firm behind closed doors. For years, Catherine has been closely associated with Wimbledon championships not simply because of fashion headlines or public popularity, but because of long-term consistency, ceremonial discipline, and visible commitment to royal duty tied directly to the All England club. Royal historians frequently point out that Catherine's relationship with Wimbledon evolved gradually through years of appearances, presentations, patronage responsibilities, and carefully maintained institutional continuity. In many ways, royal commentators increasingly argue that Wimbledon has become emotionally linked to Catherine's public identity in the same way Balmoral became linked to Queen Elizabeth II or military remembrance became deeply associated with King Charles III during his years as Prince of Wales. That institutional connection reportedly shaped palace thinking once whispers surrounding Meghan Markle's alleged request began spreading internally. Because according to palace-connected sources, officials allegedly feared that granting special accommodations under emotionally sensitive circumstances could fundamentally alter public perception surrounding the royal enclosure itself. Some insiders reportedly worried Wimbledon risked becoming framed less as a ceremonial royal institution and more as another emotionally charged Sussex media stage capable of generating days of global distraction. And according to several royal observers, that possibility became especially alarming because the monarchy was already navigating one of its most fragile modern periods following years of public tension involving Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, memoir accusations, Netflix revelations, and growing institutional scrutiny surrounding the future direction of the House of Windsor. Then another layer of concern reportedly intensified the situation even further behind palace walls. According to insiders familiar with discussions surrounding the alleged request, officials allegedly became increasingly nervous about visibility management, photography restrictions, and entourage complications connected to the royal box itself. Now, whether those rumors were fully accurate remains impossible to independently confirm, but royal commentators claim the possibility alone created enormous anxiety among organizers because Wimbledon protocol traditionally operates through rigid ceremonial consistency rather than personalized image management arrangements. Sources close to the atmosphere reportedly described growing fears that any visible deviation from standard royal box customs could trigger accusations that historic institutional traditions were being reshaped around celebrity-style sensitivities. And that is exactly where the underlying ideological clash reportedly became impossible to ignore. Because according to palace insiders, many figures aligned with Prince William and Catherine increasingly view the monarchy's survival as dependent upon restoring stronger institutional boundaries after years of emotional turbulence surrounding the Sussex era. Royal commentators claim Prince William, the future king, has allegedly grown deeply wary of situations where royal symbolism becomes entangled with celebrity-driven narrative management, particularly after repeated cycles of interviews, public grievances, and global media controversies involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Reports suggest Prince William increasingly favors a monarchy built around controlled visibility, discipline, hierarchy, and ceremonial restraint rather than emotional flexibility designed to accommodate complicated personal dynamics. And according to palace-connected whispers, Catherine reportedly shares that institutional philosophy more strongly than many people outside royal circles fully realize. That perception marks an extraordinary transformation in how Catherine, Princess of Wales, is increasingly viewed within the royal ecosystem itself. Once framed publicly primarily as the warm and approachable future queen, Catherine is now increasingly described by royal commentators as an institutional protector willing to absorb criticism if necessary in order to preserve ceremonial structure and royal continuity. The alleged Wimbledon refusal reportedly intensified that image dramatically because insiders claim Catherine viewed the situation not emotionally, but institutionally. According to several observers, Catherine allegedly believed Wimbledon traditions could not bend around highly sensitive Sussex-related circumstances without weakening the very symbolic discipline the monarchy was now desperately trying to reinforce publicly. Do you see how much bigger this became than tennis? Because according to palace commentators, the disagreement reportedly evolved into a symbolic confrontation between two completely different visions of modern royalty itself. On one side stood Catherine, Princess of Wales, representing hierarchy, duty, continuity, and institutional order. On the other stood Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, whose public identity critics increasingly associate with celebrity culture, global branding, emotional narrative management, and Hollywood-style visibility. Whether that comparison is entirely fair almost no longer matters because inside royal media ecosystems, perception itself now drives the emotional power of the story. And once audiences began viewing the alleged Wimbledon dispute through that lens, public fascination exploded almost overnight. Suddenly, social media discussions were no longer debating seating logistics or attendance privileges. Instead, viewers began debating the future direction of the monarchy under Prince William and Catherine. Royal YouTube channels, palace commentators, and entertainment analysts all started framing the controversy as evidence that the Wales household may be preparing to govern the next royal era with far stricter institutional discipline than anything audiences witnessed during previous generations. Some royal observers praised Catherine's alleged firmness as necessary protection of royal tradition during unstable times. Others accused the palace of emotional coldness and institutional rigidity toward Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. But according to insiders, the most dangerous aspect of the controversy may have been how quickly it reopened old emotional wounds the monarchy had spent years unsuccessfully trying to contain. Because almost immediately after whispers surrounding the alleged refusal surfaced online, public conversations shifted back toward the deeper fracture between Prince William and Prince Harry, between Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle, and between institutional monarchy itself and the increasingly celebrity-driven global Sussex identity. Every rumor reignited older resentments. Every anonymous briefing revived unresolved tensions. And according to palace-connected observers, officials allegedly feared the Wimbledon controversy could rapidly spiral into another international narrative war capable of overshadowing Catherine's carefully managed public return during an already emotionally sensitive period. And in the next section, the fallout surrounding Prince William's reported involvement becomes even more revealing, because insiders now claim the future king quietly viewed the alleged Wimbledon dispute as something far more serious than a family disagreement. And according to palace whispers, Prince William allegedly believed the entire controversy represented a direct test of how much institutional authority the monarchy still truly possesses in the modern media age. And if you are enjoying this deep royal analysis exposing the hidden power structures operating behind palace headlines, Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the next section reveals why many royal insiders believe Prince William's quiet position during this controversy may have exposed the future monarchy strategy already forming behind closed doors. What reportedly shocked palace insiders most after Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly refused Meghan Markle's Wimbledon request was not Meghan Markle's reaction itself, but the quiet position Prince William, the future king, was said to have taken behind closed doors during the growing controversy. Because according to palace-connected commentators, Prince William allegedly viewed the situation through a far colder and more strategic institutional lens than many royal observers initially realized. And if those whispers are even partially accurate, then the alleged Wimbledon dispute may have exposed something far more significant than family tension. It may have revealed how Prince William intends to protect the monarchy once the Wales era fully begins. According to insiders familiar with palace dynamics, Prince William reportedly did not see the issue as a personal conflict between Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Instead, royal commentators claim Prince William allegedly interpreted the entire controversy as part of a broader institutional struggle involving royal symbolism, ceremonial authority, and the increasingly dangerous collision between monarchy and celebrity culture. Sources connected to palace operations whisper that Prince William has grown increasingly protective of traditional royal structures after years of public instability surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's departure from official royal duties. And according to several observers, that shift inside Prince William reportedly accelerated dramatically following the release of interviews, documentaries, and memoir revelations that repeatedly pushed private royal tensions into the global entertainment marketplace. That context matters enormously because palace insiders increasingly describe Prince William as deeply concerned about preserving institutional discipline before eventually inheriting the crown. Royal analysts claim Prince William allegedly believes the monarchy can no longer survive through emotional flexibility and informal accommodation alone, especially in an era dominated by social media warfare, celebrity branding, global streaming platforms, and carefully managed narrative campaigns capable of destabilizing royal credibility almost overnight. According to sources familiar with internal royal thinking, Prince William reportedly views ceremonial spaces like Wimbledon not merely as public events, but as protected institutional environments where symbolism must remain tightly controlled. And that is exactly why the alleged royal box controversy reportedly became so sensitive. Because according to palace-connected commentators, the issue was never simply whether Meghan Markle could physically attend Wimbledon championships. The deeper concern allegedly centered around whether highly symbolic royal institutions would gradually begin adapting themselves around celebrity-level optics, media management concerns, and emotionally charged Sussex-related visibility pressures. Reports suggest Prince William privately feared that once ceremonial rules begin bending around personal circumstances tied to media attention, institutional authority itself slowly weakens over time. Can you see why palace insiders reportedly viewed this as a much bigger battle than most headlines suggested? Because according to royal observers, the monarchy under Prince William may ultimately operate through a far more disciplined and tightly controlled structure than anything seen during the later years of Queen Elizabeth II or King Charles III. Several palace commentators increasingly describe Prince William as a future monarch deeply shaped by years of public turbulence surrounding the Sussex era. Years that allegedly convinced the Prince of Wales that ambiguity, emotional flexibility, and inconsistent boundaries create vulnerabilities modern media ecosystems immediately exploit. And according to insiders, Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly aligns closely with that institutional philosophy. That growing alignment between Prince William and Catherine has reportedly become one of the defining power dynamics quietly reshaping palace operations behind the scenes. Royal commentators claim Catherine is no longer viewed internally simply as the warm and approachable public face of the future monarchy. Instead, insiders increasingly describe Catherine as a strategic institutional partner deeply involved in protecting ceremonial continuity, symbolic hierarchy, and royal discipline during an era of extraordinary public scrutiny. The alleged Wimbledon refusal reportedly strengthened that perception significantly because many palace observers interpreted Catherine's position as evidence that the Wales household may no longer prioritize emotional reconciliation when institutional structure appears threatened. And that possibility has quietly unsettled several factions across the royal landscape. Because according to palace whispers, not everyone within royal circles reportedly feels comfortable with the increasingly firm institutional posture associated with Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. Some insiders allegedly fear the monarchy could become too rigid, too emotionally distant, and too heavily focused on discipline at the expense of reconciliation and family healing. Others, however, reportedly believe stronger boundaries are now absolutely necessary following years of public royal fractures that repeatedly exposed internal palace tensions to global audiences. That divide allegedly became impossible to ignore once the Wimbledon controversy exploded publicly. Suddenly, royal audiences were no longer debating Meghan Markle's alleged request alone. Instead, viewers began debating what kind of monarchy Prince William and Catherine actually intend to build in the future. Will the Wales era prioritize institutional protection above emotional diplomacy? Will Prince William govern through tighter ceremonial control after watching years of media chaos surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? And perhaps most importantly, has the monarchy quietly entered a new phase where access to royal spaces increasingly depends not upon family connection or public popularity, but upon perceived loyalty to institutional stability itself? Those questions now sit directly underneath the Wimbledon controversy. And according to several palace-connected commentators, the symbolism surrounding the alleged refusal became even more powerful because Wimbledon itself represents one of the monarchy's most visible intersections between modern celebrity culture and historic royal authority. Royal box appearances are photographed globally. Every seating arrangement gets analyzed. Every interaction generates headlines. In many ways, Wimbledon functions almost like a live international stage where the monarchy carefully presents controlled versions of continuity, elegance, and ceremonial order to the world. That is precisely why insiders claim Prince William and Catherine reportedly refused to allow uncertainty, media spectacle, or emotionally sensitive accommodations to destabilize the carefully managed symbolism surrounding the event. Meanwhile, reports suggest Meghan Markle supporters interpreted the alleged refusal very differently. Some critics accuse the palace of reinforcing emotional exclusion and institutional coldness toward Meghan Markle despite years passing since the Sussexes stepped back from royal duties. Others argued the controversy reflected deeper unresolved tensions between the Wales household and Prince Harry's California-based life outside royal structures. But according to palace insiders, officials allegedly viewed the situation far less emotionally than the public did. Sources claim palace figures increasingly believe the monarchy's survival now depends upon restoring stronger institutional clarity after years of blurred boundaries between royal duty, celebrity visibility, and media-driven personal storytelling. And if that interpretation is correct, then the alleged Wimbledon dispute may ultimately be remembered as something far more important than a private disagreement hidden behind royal silence. Because according to royal observers watching the fallout closely, the controversy may have offered the clearest glimpse yet into how Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, intend to reshape the monarchy once the next royal era fully arrives. And in the next section, the emotional fallout surrounding Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the growing public divide over the future of the House of Windsor becomes even more explosive, because palace insiders now fear the Wimbledon controversy may have reopened wounds the royal family never truly managed to heal in the first place. And before we continue, if you enjoy these deep royal investigations breaking down the hidden strategy and institutional psychology operating underneath palace headlines, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the next section reveals why many royal commentators believe the emotional consequences of this alleged Wimbledon confrontation may only be beginning. What reportedly frightened palace insiders most after whispers surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle's alleged Wimbledon clash began spreading publicly was the realization that the controversy had reopened emotional divisions the monarchy had spent years desperately trying to contain behind palace walls. Because according to royal commentators watching the fallout closely, the public reaction surrounding the alleged refusal quickly evolved into something far more volatile than a disagreement over protocol. Almost overnight, the controversy became a symbolic emotional war between two completely different visions of modern royalty, and millions of people across the world immediately chose sides. That reaction alone reveals just how deeply fractured public perception surrounding Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle has now become. Because years after the Sussexes stepped away from official royal duties, audiences remain emotionally invested in every rumor, every alleged disagreement, every seating arrangement, and every whispered palace tension connected to the House of Windsor. According to palace-connected observers, officials reportedly hoped public fascination surrounding the internal royal fracture would eventually cool with time. Instead, the opposite appears to have happened. Every new controversy now immediately reignites unresolved emotional narratives involving betrayal, loyalty, hierarchy, resentment, celebrity influence, and institutional power. And according to insiders, the alleged Wimbledon dispute triggered all of those emotional fault lines simultaneously. For supporters of Catherine, Princess of Wales, the reported refusal symbolized strength, discipline, and institutional protection during a period where many royal traditionalists increasingly fear the monarchy faces cultural destabilization from celebrity-driven media pressures. Royal commentators aligned with the Wales household argued that Catherine allegedly protected Wimbledon's ceremonial integrity by refusing to allow emotionally sensitive circumstances to reshape long-standing royal customs. In that interpretation, Catherine was not behaving personally toward Meghan Markle at all. Catherine was allegedly defending the institution itself. But for supporters of Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, the emotional interpretation looked completely different. According to many Sussex supporters online, the alleged refusal reinforced years of frustration surrounding what they view as Meghan Markle's continued exclusion from royal spaces she once occupied publicly as a senior working royal. Some commentators accused palace structures of selectively weaponizing protocol depending upon which royal figure is involved. Others argued the controversy reflected lingering resentment toward Meghan Markle's independence, global visibility, and refusal to quietly disappear following the Sussex departure from royal duties. And that emotional divide is exactly why palace insiders reportedly feared the controversy becoming public in the first place. Because according to royal observers, the monarchy now exists inside an environment where every internal disagreement instantly transforms into a global symbolic conflict fueled by media ecosystems, social platforms, YouTube commentary channels, entertainment journalism, and emotionally polarized audiences. Reports suggest palace officials increasingly believe even relatively small disputes can rapidly spiral into international narrative wars once Prince Harry and Meghan Markle become attached to the story publicly. And insiders claim Wimbledon's global visibility made the situation even more dangerous because the tournament already operates under enormous international attention before any royal controversy enters the picture. Then another deeply sensitive issue reportedly intensified concerns behind palace walls even further. According to palace-connected whispers, officials allegedly feared the controversy risked overshadowing Catherine, Princess of Wales's carefully managed public return following months of intense concern surrounding her health and royal responsibilities. Royal commentators repeatedly described Catherine's Wimbledon appearances as emotionally significant not only for the monarchy, but for the public itself because Wimbledon symbolized continuity, reassurance, and gradual stability after a prolonged period of uncertainty surrounding the Princess of Wales. Insiders reportedly worried that if the Meghan Markle controversy fully consumed media attention surrounding the tournament, Catherine's symbolic return risked becoming entangled inside another exhausting Sussex-related narrative battle. And according to several palace observers, that possibility became institutionally unacceptable. Because insiders increasingly claim Prince William and Catherine now prioritize protecting royal symbolism from media chaos more aggressively than previous generations ever did. Reports suggest the Wales household has gradually adopted a philosophy centered around minimizing unpredictability, reducing narrative ambiguity, and protecting ceremonial spaces from emotionally destabilizing distractions. That strategic shift allegedly reflects lessons learned from years of public turbulence involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, where emotional storytelling repeatedly overwhelmed traditional palace communication structures. Do you notice how often silence now becomes the monarchy's chosen weapon? Because according to royal insiders, one of the most revealing aspects of the Wimbledon controversy was the complete absence of public clarification from palace officials themselves. No dramatic denials arrived. No emotional statements appeared. No official explanation emerged publicly attempting to correct rumors or calm speculation. And according to palace commentators, that silence may have been entirely intentional. Why? Because modern palace strategy increasingly appears built around controlled ambiguity. Royal observers claim Prince William's future monarchy may rely less on emotional public engagement and far more on institutional distance, carefully limited access, and strategic silence designed to avoid feeding media spectacle directly. In many ways, insiders believe the alleged Wimbledon controversy may have quietly demonstrated how the Wales household intends to handle future Sussex-related tensions moving forward. Calm refusal, minimal explanation, no public emotional escalation, and absolute protection of institutional structure regardless of outside pressure. And that possibility has quietly unsettled even some long-time royal watchers. Because if Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, truly are shaping a monarchy defined by firmer boundaries, colder discipline, and stricter ceremonial control, then the emotional flexibility once associated with earlier royal eras may gradually disappear altogether. Some commentators believe that transition is necessary for the monarchy's survival in an increasingly chaotic media environment. Others fear it could create a royal institution perceived as emotionally distant, rigid, and less forgiving toward internal family fractures. Either way, the alleged Wimbledon controversy appears to have exposed a major transformation already happening beneath the surface of royal life. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle remain suspended in an increasingly strange position within the global public imagination. The Sussexes are still royal by bloodline, title, and public fascination, yet simultaneously exist outside the institutional structures now being aggressively reinforced by Prince William and Catherine. That contradiction continues fueling endless tension because the Sussex brand still carries enormous global visibility while the monarchy itself increasingly appears determined to narrow, protect, and discipline access to ceremonial royal spaces. And according to palace insiders watching the fallout carefully, the emotional consequences of that collision may only become more severe as Prince William and Catherine move closer toward the center of royal power. Because in the final section, the larger future implications surrounding the House of Windsor become impossible to ignore, and according to several royal commentators, the alleged Wimbledon refusal may have quietly revealed the true direction of the next monarchy era long before Prince William ever officially ascends the throne. And if you are enjoying this deep royal analysis exposing the hidden institutional psychology, emotional power struggles, and future monarchy strategy operating beneath palace headlines, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the final section connects every piece of this controversy together and explains why many royal insiders believe the Wales era may fundamentally reshape the monarchy forever. What reportedly unsettled palace insiders most after the alleged Wimbledon confrontation between Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, was the growing realization that the controversy may have quietly exposed the future monarchy before Prince William has even ascended the throne. Because according to royal commentators watching the fallout carefully, the reported refusal was never interpreted internally as a simple disagreement over access, hospitality, or personal tension alone. Instead, palace-connected observers increasingly describe the incident as a symbolic declaration that the next royal era may operate with far firmer institutional boundaries, stricter ceremonial discipline, and dramatically reduced tolerance for emotionally complicated royal ambiguity. And if that interpretation is accurate, then the House of Windsor may already be entering a transformational period hidden beneath the surface of public royal life. Because according to insiders, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly understand something many previous royal generations never fully had to confront. Modern celebrity culture can overwhelm institutional authority incredibly quickly if symbolic boundaries are not aggressively protected. Royal commentators repeatedly point to the past several years involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as a turning point that fundamentally reshaped palace thinking surrounding media strategy, emotional storytelling, and public control. Interviews, documentaries, memoirs, streaming platforms, social media ecosystems, and carefully managed narrative campaigns exposed vulnerabilities within the monarchy that palace officials reportedly never anticipated on such a global scale. And according to several observers, the alleged Wimbledon refusal may have represented the clearest signal yet that Prince William's future monarchy intends to respond by tightening control rather than expanding emotional flexibility. That possibility explains why so many royal insiders reportedly viewed Catherine's alleged response as historically significant despite the absence of any public confirmation. Because insiders increasingly believe Catherine, Princess of Wales, is evolving into something far more institutionally powerful than the public once imagined. Royal commentators now frequently describe Catherine not simply as the future queen beside Prince William, but as an active guardian of royal continuity, ceremonial structure, and symbolic discipline during one of the monarchy's most unstable modern eras. The alleged Wimbledon controversy reportedly reinforced that perception dramatically because Catherine was allegedly willing to risk public criticism rather than compromise institutional boundaries surrounding one of Britain's most visible royal traditions. And that decision may quietly define the Wales era moving forward. Because according to palace-connected commentators, Prince William and Catherine increasingly appear committed to a monarchy centered around clarity, structure, loyalty, and controlled symbolism rather than emotional accommodation designed to avoid short-term public discomfort. Royal analysts believe the future king has likely concluded that blurred boundaries create institutional weakness in the modern media age. And after years of watching royal family tensions repeatedly become global entertainment spectacles, insiders claim Prince William allegedly views stronger ceremonial discipline as essential for the crown's long-term survival. Do you see how dramatically different that philosophy feels compared to previous royal eras? Because King Charles III has often been perceived publicly as emotionally driven by reconciliation, diplomacy, and family healing despite ongoing tensions involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Prince William, however, is increasingly described by palace observers as focused primarily on institutional durability rather than emotional repair when those priorities collide. And according to insiders, The alleged Wimbledon situation may have revealed that transition more clearly than any public royal speech ever could. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry remain trapped inside a deeply complicated position within the global royal narrative. The Sussexes continue carrying enormous media visibility, emotional influence, and worldwide fascination, yet simultaneously operate outside the formal institutional system Prince William and Catherine increasingly appear determined to reinforce. That contradiction creates endless tension because the Sussex brand thrives through openness, narrative visibility, emotional storytelling, and celebrity-style communication, while the Wales household increasingly appears focused on restraint, hierarchy, and controlled royal symbolism. And according to royal commentators, that philosophical divide may now be impossible to reconcile completely. Because at its core, the alleged Wimbledon controversy was never truly about who sat where during a tennis tournament. The emotional power of the story came from what audiences believed the situation represented underneath the surface. For many viewers, Catherine's alleged refusal symbolized the monarchy drawing a line. For others, Meghan Markle's reported exclusion symbolized an institution becoming colder and more rigid toward those who challenged traditional royal expectations. Either way, the controversy exploded globally because it tapped directly into the deeper emotional fracture defining the modern House of Windsor itself. And perhaps the most fascinating aspect of all is that no official confirmation was ever truly necessary for the story to dominate public imagination. Because within royal culture, silence often speaks louder than statements. No dramatic palace announcement arrived. No emotional rebuttal appeared publicly from Kensington Palace. Wimbledon officials avoided escalating the controversy openly. Yet according to palace insiders, the silence surrounding the alleged dispute may have communicated everything audiences needed to understand about how the future monarchy increasingly intends to operate. Calmly, quietly, firmly, without public spectacle, but without compromise either. And if palace observers are correct, then the alleged Wimbledon refusal may eventually be remembered as one of the earliest symbolic moments revealing the future reign of Prince William before it officially begins. A monarchy shaped less by emotional flexibility and more by institutional control. A monarchy increasingly protected by Catherine, Princess of Wales, whose public image now appears evolving from approachable future queen into disciplined guardian of royal continuity itself. A monarchy where access to symbolic royal spaces may depend less upon bloodline, fame, or public attention and far more upon alignment with the institution's long-term survival strategy. And according to royal insiders, that reality has quietly unsettled figures across the entire royal landscape. Because whether audiences support Prince William and Catherine or sympathize more strongly with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, one truth now feels impossible to ignore. The House of Windsor is changing rapidly beneath the surface, and controversies like this alleged Wimbledon dispute may offer rare glimpses into how power, loyalty, symbolism, and control are already being reshaped inside the monarchy's next chapter. So now we want to hear directly from you. Do you believe Catherine, Princess of Wales, was right to allegedly protect Wimbledon tradition no matter the personal consequences? Or do you think Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, was unfairly excluded from royal spaces she once represented publicly beside Prince Harry? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this debate is clearly far from over. And if you enjoyed this deep royal analysis covering Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, King Charles III, and the hidden institutional dynamics shaping the future of the monarchy, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next major royal story unfolding behind palace walls. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.